Good morning. Hey, happy Friday. Tanj here, Peak Performance Specialist for real estate and property professionals, here with episode 2 of Rapid Fire Friday. The whole intention for this episode and for this segment, Sonia, straight off the bat, look at you, is to just really share what are the key themes that real estate professionals are really dealing with in this last week. Good morning, Troy. Great to have you here. Good morning, Holly. Hey, Jordan. Nice to see you here too. What are the key themes that you're dealing with that I'm seeing with my one-on-one clients? What are some of the challenges? Hi, Olivia. And what are my tips? Just really rapid fire tips. And the reason I do this is it's because many of you are having the same challenges, the same problems, the same issues and concerns. And many of you potentially don't have the resources to be able to invest in a one-on-one coach, but I don't want that to stop you from getting some, advice or recommendations that you can really instantly apply in your business and just alleviate some of your troubles. Hi, Olivia. So let's just get straight into it. First of all, I want to say thank you. So I want to say thank you to you that have joined us on Instagram, and thank you to you on Facebook. Hi, Catherine. Good morning. Yesterday marked 4 years in my business. So for those of you that don't know, 4 years ago, I was simply a vendor that was really unhappy with the quality or lack of quality of the service I was receiving from numerous real estate agents. And I thought perhaps I could be of service and haven't looked back. So for everyone who we got, hey, Stoke, g'day, Kate. Thank you so much for the congrats. For all of you that have given me the chance to speak at your industry events, do training programs and workshops with your team around the country, especially big love to all my one-on-one coaching clients around Australia and some international. I am extremely grateful to be in 4 years of a business that was just once an idea. We are growing rapidly every single year, and it's because I get the chance to be of service. So just incredibly grateful. Hamilton, thank you for joining us. So what are the key themes that people are going through? Here's one of the biggest ones, and let me see if this relates to you. Do you ever find yourself complaining that you don't have time? Have you ever heard yourself say, I don't have time? Thanks for all the congrats on Facebook, to appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up or a comment here on Insta if you've ever heard you say, maybe even recently, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. And I don't have time to do that. Let me know. Also, as you're watching this, if you're watching this live, type in live. If you're watching the record, please type in the record. It helps me understand when you're connecting with this content. G'day, Jackie. Thank you so much for my book, for you and Steve. It was great to have dinner with you guys the other night in Adelaide. So, as a coach, one of the things I really pride myself on is the ability to be able to take people out of their fishbowl so they can see the ocean, because you cannot see the ocean from inside your own fishbowl. What I mean by that is you're only going to see the world and your reality from your own perspective. And the thing a coach can do is just to help you look over the edge and go, oh my God, there's an infinity pool there. Or, oh my God, there's a massive ocean that's endless. Time is one of those things that I'm really good at helping people get access to quickly. One client this week, they had a complaint that they just didn't have time. We distilled it down to where is their time going. So I want you to listen to this for yourself. One of the things that they do a lot of is, as they called, networking. And I said, talk to me about some of these networking tasks. A lot of the tasks they were talking about were their parental duties, running kids around. They were, however, putting it in the box of networking. Now, don't get me wrong. I think anywhere and everywhere is an opportunity to network, to connect with people, to build relationships, build rapport, and who knows where that may lead. However, there is a massive difference between going to the parent-teacher interview and actually going to a business networking event. Do you get what I'm saying? If you understand what I'm saying, please give me a thumbs up. Hi, Adam. Always great to have you here too. So the long and the short of it is we started to really look at where this person is spending their time and where their commitments are. A lot of you are overcommitting. If you watched my Mindset Mastery Monday episode recently about are you a people pleaser, and there were 10 signs that you might be, you could be overcommitting. You could be saying yes to things where you really mean no. She was doing one of those, a few of those things, just overcommitting. We worked out that this person was spending 720 hours of networking a year. And when I asked her what amount of business that was bringing back as far as listings and sales, you're welcome, Adam. You know, we distilled it down to maybe 50 grand. She's on a pretty good average gross commission income per sale, about 25. So 2 sales. I want to know from your perspective, do you think that's a good return on investment? Imagine yourself spending 720 hours on something to make $50,000. Tell me, is that yes or no a good investment of your time? Yes or no? I want to hear from you. Write it in now so I know where you're at. Is that a good return on investment? What is your opinion? Write it in on Instagram and write it in on Facebook. I'm keen to know, yes or no. No, no. Why? Why is that not a good investment? It's a lot of time. Again, when this client saw that, she was like, wow. And I said, imagine even halving that, and, you'd have like 360, 350 hours available to you. What could you do with that? So pretty quickly, we started to see that we have a lot of time, but maybe where we're spending it is not super productive. So if you do anything over the weekend, please review where your time is going and what return on investment you're getting from spending your time doing what you're doing, A. And B, please don't put parental tasks in the network, even though I get it, but if we're talking pure business development time, it's really not that, okay? It's really not that. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is there was a big theme with leaders this week. Stress is high, frustration is high, anxiety is high. Costs are the same. People are still spending anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000 to $100,000 on a break-even figure per. Can you imagine? Every 4 weeks you got to fork out 60 grand, 80 grand to break even on your costs. Hey Simon, great to have you here as well. Always tuning in. Thank you so much. So imagine this is what a principal has to do. Every single 4 weeks, 5 weeks, there's 60,000, there's 80,000, there's 40,000, and the sales just aren't there to provide cash flow for that to happen. Do you think that's going to make them elevate their stress? You bet. Now, offices are closing. Agents, principals are taking agents off retainer and commission in some states where they can, and many principals aren't taking a wage. So one thing that leaders are really looking at the moment is where they can build efficiency in their business. And I have to tell you, there is an incredible amount of productivity that is sitting there with the biggest resource that you have in your business being people, and we're not maximizing it. What's happening is leaders are getting frustrated because their people aren't kind of working to the level or the intensity that the business requires. And then they're the ones behind the scenes faced with having to fork out 60, 70, 80 grand every 4 weeks. A bit of a stressful environment, wouldn't you agree? What have you got here? It's heavy duty. Yes, Simon, it's real heavy duty. This is the reality of people. And they've got their, houses on the line, and they're selling investment properties just to stay afloat. So I ask you, if you're a team member, please have a level of compassion for your business leader and have a look at what could you do to make a difference? What extra can you give? Don't always look at what your leader needs to give to you. What can you give at this point? Because, they are paying your wages, they're paying the electricity, they're paying the photocopying, they're paying the lease, they're paying for the milk in the fridge for you to have your cappuccinos whenever you want them. Please stop blaming the leaders for why you're not happy. Some of you do that. What can you do to support your leader today? Because their life is on the line and they're often going home to their family not happy, stressed out, and not having the greatest time. A. B, leaders, be kind to your people. They're stressed out as well. They're not carrying the responsibility that you have. And please don't make your team's lack of fulfilling on what you want them to do mean that they don't respect you. That's what I'm seeing a lot of leaders are actually doing. This is the distinction called what's happened and what you make it mean. Meaning, Someone you might, I'll give you a specific example. One of my clients, and if you're watching this live, type in live. If you're watching the record, please type in the record so I know when you're watching this, which is just really helpful. So one of my clients just sent an email to their team to do a particular task by a particular time. Out of a team of 6, 2 did it on time, 2 didn't, but they followed up, and then 1 didn't, and I don't know about the other one. That's what happened. But what the leader made it mean was they don't respect me. They just don't respect me. Now you can see the rationale, but here's the mistake. Definition is decisive. So if you as a leader, if you as a team member, if you as an agent or a colleague or a parent, I've done this before. If your team, if your kids, if your partner, if your, community, people that you're with don't do what you ask them to do, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't respect you. That's a meaning you made up. What happens when you make up meanings, though, is that you come to work every day and you see your people through the viewfinder of they don't respect me. Do you think that's going to put you in an empowered or a disempowered position as a leader? Let me know. Write it in. Empowered or disempowered? I can tell you this leader was really disempowered, super frustrated. Who we got here? G'day, Greg. Great to have you here. And very reactive and not experiencing a lot of joy with the team. So I asked them to stop making this belief that your people don't respect you and get curious into maybe your communication is ineffective. And that's typically what happens. With leaders, you have many things on your mind, and sometimes we rapid fire requests to our people and we haven't checked in to see if they've understood us. So my coaching around this, and just give me a thumbs up if you're finding this content, which I know I'm doing fast, but that's the whole intent, rapid fire Friday. Disempowered Sonia, you're absolutely right. Just give me a thumbs up if you're getting some tips for yourself or some insight of this is making sense for you. So here's what you need to do when you're communicating with your people, particularly leaders. When you make a request, you've got to give them the why. If they don't know why you need this done, they might not prioritize it for you because they've got a whole bunch of other stuff that you've asked them to do or they've got to do in their KPIs, which also this week I learned a more empowering definition, which is APIs. Action, instead of key performance indicators, action performance indicators. It makes it more grounded and realistic to achieve. So make sure you're communicating why you're making the request of your people to do what they need to do. Yeah, Adam, you're right. It's definitely disempowered. Make sure you're clear in what you want done, how you want done, and when you want it done. Make sure that you've then got agreement to get it done. Make sure you then have asked the team, is there any reason that you can see that this may not be done at the time I need it done? And then if you really need to, seek to understand that they've understood you. And you can say something like this: so I know my communication was clear. Can you just let me know what I've asked for? And then have people kind of respond. And you'll hear, A, what did they pick up? B, did they hear you correctly? And C, was your communication effective? So this principal kind of wrote that process down, and they will now make sure they communicate why they want something done. They're crystal clear about what it is, when they want it done, and how they want it done. They seek to understand that their people got what they, asked for by saying, so I know I was clear, can you repeat it back to me? And they've asked, is there any reason that you won't get this done by the time I request? That then really kind of bridges the gap of, risk that it won't happen. So that's a really good one to try. There are, in this time of a correcting market where your monthly break even is kind of staring you in the face and the sales aren't happening, it's time to get innovative at ways to make money. And one of the key ways, especially if you're a principal, is look at the negative space you've got in the business that you're paying the lease for. I've got a number of agents now that are casually leasing the space in their office out. Whether it be an entire floor. In one case this week, one of my clients has now got an entire floor available. He can potentially get, minimum $12,000 a year for that. What that could go towards paying something else and not come out of your gross profit. You could casual lease a hot desk. Please be resourceful at this time. There are different ways you can make money and not just rely on sales. So casual leasing office space is one way, which is a really great way. Good morning, Paula. You can reduce expenses, of course. Look at where your expenses are going, particularly if you have multiple offices. I helped one business recently save about $120,000 a year just by getting one service supplier to do, service 5 offices instead of individual businesses and brands. So there's a lot that you can do, but have a look at the space. If you've got big chill out zones and reclining areas, you're paying per square meter of that liability. So I want you to get money from the space that you're leasing if that's you. So being innovative, and maybe it's time to pull back on some expenses. I've been looking at leaders' P&Ls, and there's a lot of money going in areas that we might just need to tighten for a little while. Communicate to your people, though, if you need to do this, because you don't want to affect their working environment. Rather than the big lunches, one great thing that you can do is have community cook-ups in your office once a week and have a different cuisine, and it's a great way to build connection and camaraderie in the business. So what else have we got? Oh, okay, this was a really interesting one. So one of my principals really wants to grow the business, and he actually wants to come off the tools. He's not really loving being the principal and a listing selling agent as well. If you relate, let me know. Give me a thumbs up if that's kind of you, or you know someone that's like that. You can tag them in this. Unfortunately, his strategy for growth, I don't think, is the most effective. So before we started coaching, he was bringing on what I call the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, bringing on 5 or 6 people, getting them to get their license, and then spending hours and hours training them. So I'm really up for the path of least resistance to produce the results that you want. I don't think that was the best strategy. When I asked him if he had reached out to high-performing agents in his area to see if they would like to join, he said, why would they want to join? So my tip here is know your value. Know the difference that you and your business make. And I said, well, here's a couple of reasons I can think of. By the way, if one of your strategies is to have great people join you, you've got to have a compelling reason why. Why would they leave the brand that they're in, the demographic that they're in, and join an entirely new brand and potentially new demographic? Hi, Paula. Thanks for joining us. Here is some reasons that he couldn't see. His average days on market in his business were half the average in his community. He is the #1 ranked agent in the area. Most of his competitors, he can give them instantly 30% more commission for every sale that they earn. That's a pretty compelling reason, if you ask me. And there's potential equity share in the business. There's an amazing environment to live in. Like, there's 5 reasons right there. He's dedicating training and development. So if you don't recognize the value that you have in your business, you're missing opportunities, because there are a lot of people that are disheartened with the franchise or the business they're in. They're either not getting the leadership, they're not getting the support, they're not getting the love, the training and the attention that they desire, especially at these times. Something that's good about an independent agency or a boutique offering is you can tend to be closer with your people. So if you're a principal and you're wanting to attract people, don't say you got a great culture if you really don't, but start to look at what is your compelling point of difference and how can you improve another agent's life just by virtue of them joining you. Good morning, Will. Thanks for joining us. Oh, this is a big one. I'm going to give you 2 more before I wrap up. A lot of you, well, maybe not you directly, but people that you know, are operating on top of high levels of emotion and not showing it, not releasing it, not having a cry when you need, not venting because you don't want to be a burden to others. If this is making sense to you, please give me a thumbs up. Do you know what I'm talking about? In highly stressful times, do you sometimes suffer in silence and squash your, communication? One particular principal that I coached this week has been operating at that pace for a long time, and there's no space left. They're not communicating this to their partner. They're not communicating this to any colleagues or team members, and they're actually suffering in silence. And it is having an effect on their health 100%. So this is a health and well-being tip. You must find someone that you can share with. You have to have a resource that you can offload to. As a coach, it's a real privilege for me to be able to do that. Some people don't have the ability or the resources to have a coach that can do that, but please, for your own health and well-being, find someone that you trust, find someone that's not going to treat you like a victim, find someone that's not going to, just someone that's got the capacity to listen to you, to not try to fix or change you, but just hear and witness you. So that's a really important tip. Get someone that you can talk to. It's critical for your sanity. And finally, I want to ask you a question, and this has also come out of a coaching session this week. If you're working long hours, like one client this week, 7 hours from 7 a.m. Till 1 or 2 a.m. the next day, 7 days a week. They have a young daughter and they have a beautiful wife. They are a principal. The wife is also a principal and a director in the business. What is it all for? What are you working this hard for? Because this principal, they're making great money. They're financially free. Their health is shot. They put on a brave face in the office and in the business, but they go home and physically collapse every single night. And when I go under the hood of people that operate at this level, here's what's usually there. And I'm not saying it's there for you, and I'm not saying it's there all the time, but this may resonate. Maybe there's someone you're trying to impress. Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's an ex. Maybe it's your current partner. Maybe it's a business partner that you had a failed business with in the past and you're trying to prove yourself. Or maybe you're in competition with yourself. I just invite you to ask yourself today, if you are working those ridiculous hours, and I get business is challenging, but if you're performing well and you're still working those hours, what is it all for? Who are you trying to impress? Because that game is unsustainable and it's going to have a massive, William's saying they're trying to fill a void. Will, I absolutely agree with you. Here's the thing with trying to fulfill the void from the outside in. Have you ever gotten an award or an acknowledgement or achieved a goal for a temporary fix, and then you kind of went back to feeling empty or lonely or unfulfilled? Have that ever happened to you? Consider trying to fill a void from the outside in, and running yourself to the ground is not the answer. There are other ways to do it. So before we look at the other ways, I just invite you to stop and reflect and take a look. What are you doing it all for? Who are you trying to impress? And just disassociate from yourself and have a look. What is the quality of your health? What is the quality of your relationships? What does your bank balance look like? And if you are performing well, what is it all for? I don't want your body to put the handbrake on in a really ineffective way and impact your health until you get a rude awakening that way of operating is unsustainable. The best leaders I know do what it takes to keep their business going, especially with paying 60 grand every 4 weeks to keep the business alive and your team paid and your clients serviced. But those leaders that are willing to be vulnerable, share with someone that they trust on how they feel, just to unpack their emotion and have some space and breathe. You got to do that. And B, the greatest leaders I know are transparent and vulnerable with their people. They don't try to operate like everything's perfect and they're crumbling. They'll sit down with their team and go, this is a time for us to rally together and be innovative in what we're doing. We need to come up some ideas, because I'll do what it takes to keep this business going, but I'm going to need your help. Don't be afraid as a leader to ask for help. Don't be afraid to get your people on side with you to be innovative and ride a wave. You'll find that they'll earn your respect greater than you could ever imagine. Don't let your ego send you to the grave young. That's just kind of what I want to leave you with, because I love you. I want you to be happy. I want you to live a deeply fulfilling life. I want you to have quality relationships. And if you're really, really not happy, then ask yourself, is this the future for you? Is real estate really for you? Maybe not. If you are sitting here going, yeah, some of that really resonated with me, or I've got a question, or I want to know something, then DM me or message me. I'm currently offering complimentary 15-minute discovery sessions. You might want to have a look at your schedule. If you're complaining that you don't have time, let's get you out of the fishbowl and let's get you in the ocean. And I promise you, there'll be time that you have that you just can't see right now. And it'd be my pleasure to find more time that you can either reinvest back into your business or spend with those you love, or go get yourself a bloody massage or something, or just to have a little stretch. So if you need some support, if you have a question, a challenge, an issue or problem that you want a hand with, I'm here for you. So all you need to do on Facebook is write in a comment. Yes, I'd love a discovery session. Here's my email, Kriti, my EA, she'll hook you up. If you're on Instagram, DM me or write a comment here. I would love to be of service to you. Thank you for tuning in. Please let me know, which did you find most interesting? Was it that you need to question, what are you doing it all for? Was it that you need to stop making what's happening, make it mean your people disrespect you? Was it that you need to go back to your business and look at ways that you can reduce expenses, and maybe there's a hot seat, or maybe there's a whole corner that you can do some casual leasing and bring some money in? Was it that you need to find someone in your tribe that you can just share with and make some space in your being so you can have an out breath and breathe? Was it that you are wasting a lot of time and you need to be more effective? Which one was the most useful? I hope you have a beautiful Friday. For those of you that have got show day tomorrow, good luck. And I look forward to seeing you for Mindset Mastery Monday, next Monday, which we're going to talk about how do you really rise above highly stressful situations and reduce anxiety and panic attacks before they kick in. Tass, thanks for joining. Is it Tass or Tess? Looks like Tass. Thanks for joining. Let me know when you're watching this. Is it live? Is it record? I love you. Have a great weekend. See you for Mindset Mastery Monday, next Monday. Take care and enjoy yourself.